welcome back from the tree break. Our next session focuses on one of the most significant trends shaping the future of national space capabilities, enabling sovereign satellites globally. As nations seek greater strategic autonomy in space, sovereign satellite ecosystems are becoming more increasingly important. This session explores how countries can build independent capabilities across manufacturing, launch, operations, security, data, and downstream applications. To chair and moderate this discussion, please welcome Dr. V.S. Hegde, Senior Advisor, SIA-India. I request sir to please join us on the stage. We are honored to have you with us today. We also warmly welcome our distinguished speakers, AVM Pramjit Singh, Malhi, retired TASL, Ms. Athira, BS Scientist, Hex 20, Air Marshal GS Bedi, Senior Advisor, Defense and Strategic Programs, Mr. Gurvinder Chohan, Managing Director, Reliasat, Mr. Vinod Kaul, Regional Vice President, Asia Gilat Satellite Networks. We are honored to have you with us today. Now I kindly hand over the stage to the respected chair and all the panelists. Thank you.
So, good afternoon, late good afternoon. So, personally, I feel extremely honored to be moderating, being in the company of the most distinguished people. We have AVM Pramjit Singh, Malhi sir, AVM Bedi sir, and Gurvinder Chohan, Gurvinder, my good friend for many years, and Vinod, and Ms. Athira, the youngest member, but in the core of contributing to sovereign ecosystem in India and globally. And if I can tell a word about it, Malhi Saab is now with TASL, and TASL is one of the prime companies contributing to the sovereign space ecosystem of India and hopefully the world in the coming days. And AVM Bedi Saab was involved, and he was the key person in the hot seat in having selected the Indian astronaut who recently went to space station and came back. So when I met him today, first thing I said is, yes, your boy has gone up to space and come. Gurvinder was earlier with MDA. Then he started a few companies of his own, a business developer, an entrepreneur, and a very successful marketing person and technologist. And Vinod is the one who is the vice president for Gilat for this region. And he makes us connect, he makes us individuals, enterprises to connect, talk to each other, run business. Basically, he looks after Gilat networks, equipments to, installing to, upkeeping them so that we are connected. And Ms. Athira, she has studied in US, Washington University from ISER, Calcutta. Now she is an entrepreneur, she is a physicist, hardcore physicist, and building her own CubeSat, and today's trendy component of sovereign space ecosystem. As we are all aware, when we say sovereign satellite, we are talking of sovereign space system, and satellite alone are not enough. Capability to build satellite, for conceive, conceptualize, component-wise, subsystems-wise, realize a satellite, put it up in space, and once you put it up in space, you have to upkeep it, keep it properly there, get useful data or signals, whatever, you should have appropriate ground system to receive either data or signals or positioning or whatever, and get the data, process them, keep them secure, distribute them, and use it carefully. And then the downstream applications are very important. See, we in India, we basically, because I joined Indian space program in way back in 75, and I was there for a full 45 years within the ISRO and space system. So call myself as one of those first generation guys. So we started with the other end, applications. And ultimately we realized the space ecosystem, which is definitely sovereign to India, our nation, true with most of the developing countries or nations, because when 2010, around 2010, next 4-5 years, when I was representing India in the UN Outer Space Agency's meetings, about 45 countries from Africa and developing nations used to come. They used to proudly say that, India is also a developing country, is also one of the souvenir space ecosystems in the world, one of the 6. But about 30-40 used to come. They all were thinking of, somehow owning a satellite. But we started using data from the Landsat way back in 1972. Then our first satellite came in 1983. And from flying a Nike Apache rocket from Indian soil to realizing our PSLV, 63 to 93, took full 30 years. It's not easy to build a sovereign space ecosystem which you build and keep it in your control. And today, while we can say, okay, we are not one of the 6 now, we are one of the 9 who can build a satellite, launch a satellite, receive data, there are 9 countries, but only 3 have access to space on their own. That is Russia, US, and Japan. Those are Russia, US, and China, who can send their own astronauts in their own vehicle, bring them back. So, but there are many countries. Today, the ecosystem of building sovereign space system or space ecosystem or satellite ecosystem has changed. You don't have to build satellite, you can buy the satellite, but have the full thing in your control, because now space is no more for development. We used to say we want to have a satellite to map land and water resources, urban planning, forest fire detection. Gone are the days. While they still remain, today space ecosystem is considered as strategic, sensitive, required for military, required for power. So, it's a big status symbol, and just a day ago, hardly 35 hours ago, a space entrepreneur, none other than Elon Musk, he proved to the world that the most valuable enterprise in the world today is a space company. So that is he must be really thanked. It's at least for personal satisfaction. Great. He made space known to everyone today. So I will not tell much, because I have not tried to point certain questions to the distinguished panelists here. I had only shared some random points which came to my mind and which I could fish out from here and there and share it among them, because they are all veterans. And basically anything and everything you talk, even if you say that I am trying to build a sensor, trying to build a subsystem, which I want to try in a small satellite, CubeSat, you are contributing to building the souvenir space ecosystem satellite. So I will now leave it to the distinguished panelists. I will not interfere too much, because they have shared with me on what points they would like to talk. Now, if I repeat them, it is waste of all our time. So I'll start with AVM Malhi Saab. Kindly, sir, your turn. And we have probably 6 minutes each for everybody, or 7 minutes. Okay, 35 minutes gone, and a couple of questions from audience side. Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Hegde, and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. As the theme says, enabling sovereign satellites globally, and as brought out by Dr. Hegde, that it's not a simple job. It involves a lot of technological complexities. So sovereignty means providing an independent ecosystem comprising of space segment, ground segment, cyber segment, and the entire ambit of operations and data, more importantly. So now, owning the spectrum plays a very, very important role in this. Building the satellite with sovereign capabilities definitely every nation is desiring to have it. We have just recently seen with the ongoing conflict in the Middle East how the denial of marine passage can affect the business. And imagine denial of space to the nation, which is heavily dependent upon so many things. In another couple of years, so many services will be migrated onto the space. So any denial of space can actually bring down the nation to the grinding halt. So it's very important to have the complete control over the satellite operations. Now, manufacturing is the one part. From the industry perspective, if I bring it out, we have to produce something with the niche technology, which has the market hunger for that technology. Secondly, the timings has to be matched. The delivery schedule should be matching with the market hunger, because if you produce the same thing after some time, either the market has manifested to something else or that requirement is no longer existing. Second part is the affordability. The niche technology everybody wants, but nobody has got that much of budget. No nation has got so much of budget. So whatever you're providing and producing, it should be affordable. And lastly, survivability. We may pump in n number of assets into the space if we are not able to safeguard them, and if we are not able to ensure their usage under threatening or challenging environmental conditions, it's not of much use. Sorry. So these are the four factors which, according to me, comes into the play. So I'll just cover them into briefly. As far as assembly, integration and testing is concerned, most nations are trying to create a shared platform. Like InSpace has come up with a common AIT facility at Ahmedabad, and another 100 acres of land has been procured where AIT facility is coming up in a big way. So that the environmental testing, qualification, validation, and every company can take their satellites over there and carry out tests. This similar facility is available in UK. It's the UAE has come up with the 50,000 square feet of such facility. European Union, we all know, they have also de-linked from other nations and trying to be a self-reliant into the satellite operations. So AIT is not an issue. Ground stations and mission control is a must to ensure the data sovereignty. Cyber resilience is the main thing. That is the one which is going to protect your space assets. So in that, if we take the case of European Union, they have their cyber security certification scheme, which fits into their NST2 framework of the security. They also have the Chip Act 2.0 May 2023, where the chip has to be radiation hardened and it should be aligned with the Space Act and other cyber norms of the European Union. They are not following any other norms. Similarly, UAE has also got their own information assurance scheme under NESA guidelines, where the personal protection law is protected against with the Federal Decree Law 2023. Now, we are also coming up with the Space Act very soon. It is coming up. But we also need to have our own security standards. Why should we keep following NIST and other security standards? Every nation is going to develop their own. So as in India, we should also develop our own security standards. And I am sure the people involved into the industry or into the government organizations are working towards it. Now, what I said is the technology, the niche technology and the timing. Here the government policies will play a very, very important role. Like if we take the case of Europe, Europe has been into the space since quite some time, a lot of years. So they have their policy in which they would like to design, build, launch, operate and everything on the European Union soil. Whereas this may not be the case of the other countries like UAE. UAE at the moment has dispensed with the designing. This is okay, we will build it in our own country and remaining operations and owning everything will be on the UAE soil, even the ground control and spectrum. But they are open for the foreign collaboration. They had already tied up with the SAR, ISI for the SAR, 3 SAR satellites are already up. So like this, we need to have a mix of it. Make in India, our startups are doing a wonderful job and that has to be supported with the foreign collaboration. Indian policy does promote the foreign collaborations. They encourage foreign collaborations. But practically when we see the RFPs and EOIs coming out, they are not supporting much of the foreign collaboration. There are certain restrictions wherein this becomes, even the evaluation criteria itself goes diluted if the foreign content is there. So these are the issues which we have to look into it. Like India, space reforms were come out in 2021, whereas rest of the world followed it up from 2023 onwards. So we were already ahead by 2 years. But if we say the number of satellites pumping into the space, I think other countries have overtaken us. Even the recent news is in our neighborhood, they have launched around 6 satellites. You take the case of other neighboring countries, so many satellites have been launching, and our launches number is not significant. So we need to tweak our government policies so that the relaxation is given, authorization is faster, foreign collaboration is little simple. So commercially, this is very important. If we are not able to deliver it on time, no industry is going to take it on. So legal authorization, like there's another very important clause in the European space, like they have come out with the IRIS constellation, which contract was signed in 2024. And there are it comprises of 290 satellites, comprising of LEO also and MEO. In this 290 satellites, they are providing everything, Earth observation also, IoT, direct-to-devices, weather, everything is comprehensive planning is there. And by 2029, this constellation will be operational. Now, their Space Act says that this will not be applicable to pre-2030 assets. So they have given the industry the timings to commercially compete and then align themselves with the Commercial Legal Act's compliance. So in our case, we have seen at times that even if the policy is at the draft stage, still the authorization is held up, this thing is coming up in the draft, so better you comply right now. Complying is okay, but then that industry will suffer commercially. By the time the product comes up, those kind of revenues will not be generated. So I'll request the policymakers to kindly look into this aspect. I think I have taken the more time now, so I'll hand it over to the Dr. Hegde for further. Thank you so much.
Thank you for such valuable comments. I should have first requested the lady, but she is a girl. Taking excuse. So we will have the pleasure of hearing you now.
Yeah. Well, thank you. It gives me an immense pleasure to be on the dais with this, much younger generation. So thank you for making me a part of this panel. And when we talk about the sovereign capability, I think I'll speak from our own experience with Hex 20 here. So for us, sovereignty doesn't mean owning the satellite itself. All the verticals that you have mentioned, AVM sir, Pramjit Singh sir has mentioned, we concentrate on creating our own indigenous subsystems of the satellites, writing our own flight software so that the encryptions, no third party or no third eye is being involved in writing the software so that it's safe with us. Designing the subsystems. So out of 7 subsystems that is required for every spacecraft, X20 can proudly say that we are designing around 5 subsystems. And from structure to the electrical power supply to all the computational devices. And with that, we come into the picture as a satellite platform provider, where the payload can easily integrate the payload to our satellite and operate, and the operation side is also being covered from our side. So we have our own ground station, which is now situated in Trivandrum with the UHF capability. So the TMTC capability is also handled through Hex 20 itself. So in terms of sovereignty, I can proudly say that we have been doing the things that you have mentioned, where we manufacture the platform, we integrate it with wherever the platform is needed, and the end-to-end, the launch service provider, getting a launch service provider to launching onto the orbit and getting the data from orbit to ground is also being actually done by us. Now, talking about The other vertical is in terms of sovereignty is that we always collaborate with active researchers, academia, and students and universities and young startups, where they have a platform from if they have a mission concept and they need to have a pathway to launch into the orbit, we are supporting them to realize their dreams. So we are there by bridging a gap for them. So in terms of sovereignty for us is like continuing, the reliability in the satellite platform holder, where we continuously deliver with a successful missions and trying to get the data for the platform or the payload hosting providers. Now, with respect to providing teaching platforms where we actively collaborate with, so the UAE project that we currently take into for deep space mission, so that is with the UAE Space Agency, where we started with something called as FlatSat training, where we provided some of the FlatSat to the UAE Space Agency. They get familiarized with our system. Once they were comfortable enough, we had a contract with them to develop our own UAE Space Agency Meteor or deep space mission, where we were developing the lander, which will be going on to one of the asteroid called as Justitia, where we'll be impacting onto the Justitia and we'll be taking the images. That's a collaboration between the UAE Space Agency and Hex 20. So we started with a training program called as FlatSat training program called X-Orbit, and we also have this training program extended to some committee called as Committee of Space Physics and Research, where the committee was solely formed because of the geopolitical issues that is going to happen. No country should be withheld to exchange the science or astronomical knowledge. They shouldn't be withheld in exchanging the knowledge sharing process. So the committee was formed to exchange this information so that no nation will be held responsible to share this information, but the scientists will be freely be able to talk to each other about this science and the innovations that is happening in the space sector. So we were privileged enough to be part of COSPAR missions as well, where we provide the technology transfer to University of Peru. We handed over a FlatSat there, trained the students of University of Peru. Now we are doing one of the missions for COSPAR. It's actually a science mission where we'll be measuring the radiations from sun and also the reflected other anomalies that is happening onto the space. So that's one program that we are currently doing. So again, we are continuously translating, just not the technology, but also enabling other people also to develop their own satellites with the knowledge that we have and transferring our knowledge to other people.
No, great to hear. I mean, indeed, you are trying to expand into this end of, and from this end to that end of the sovereign ecosystem. I'm so heartening to hear that the startups or the young companies are into this kind of vision and activity. Now, I will request AVM Bedi Sahib to make his remarks.
Thank you, Chair. I am here, as it says, advisor to XDLINX space, and to put it in context, I came across founder of this company even before this company was launched. It's about 4-year-old company and has already launched 3 satellites, demonstration satellites. But I would cover more of a concept and why am I here and what exactly is trying to be achieved in this company and what is my role. Now, I'm a fighter pilot by profession and have been holding certain assignments which required a lot of, spatial knowledge. I was assistant chief of air staff offensive operations, where you needed to study the targets day in and day out. And we realized that what kind of gaps were there. Even when certain incidents took place, you realized that you did not have the information that you wanted. Now, sovereign capability, when we talk, it has 2 elements. One is sovereign, one is capability. I can acquire capability. If I have a lot of money, I can buy off capability. But will it be available when you actually want it, or can someone deny it and you can keep sitting on the heap of money, but you will not have the capability? So it becomes important that you create capability which is your own, which is sovereign. But what is the purpose of creating that capability? I am very fond of quoting an example. A networking conference happening in the United States long back, and where Chief of the Air Staff, then General John Jumper, was being briefed on the prowess of American firms in creating networking solutions. And in the end, he remarked, he said, and I quote, that sum of all wisdom is cursor over the target, unquote, implying that whatever networking you do, whatever capability you create, if it does not help me ultimately addressing the target that I want to address, then it's of no use. Similarly, the sovereign capability that we are trying to create through satellites, through systems, subsystems, etc., where are we going and where are we going wrong, more specifically? Now, I would say that, let's say to target a particular object here, I need laser beam. I find that laser beam is the most suitable to hit that target. And now I work backwards. I said, since laser beam is very good, let me also search the target with laser beam. So give me 1,000 laser beams. Very expensive and they won't serve the purpose. You will need combination. I will need some floodlights. I will need some torches. I will need some lasers ultimately. But when it comes to space capability, I don't think we are going towards that kind of thinking. So if 30 centimeter resolution is available, everyone will talk of only 30 centimeter resolution. That, and if I say I can offer you 3 meter resolution, you say, why are you talking of 3 meters when I have 30 centimeters resolution, without really realizing that do you need that kind of resolution all the time in all the area 24/7? Or do you want to look from broader area to have your situational awareness 24/7? Then you find some area of interest through your edge computing, through detection change, through the various data points or data systems that you are building, and then ultimately home on to the target or the very fine resolution which helps you to put your weapon on the target or monitor it or whatever is the capability. Weapon on the target is just an analogy. Now when it comes to creating ecosystem, encouraging the startups or young entrepreneurs to launch satellites, they will find it difficult. Everybody can't launch a $30 million satellite. They will need, let's say if I can launch a 5 meter resolution satellite, Aram say, then encourage people to launch that, because you will need in some segment even that satellite which gives you a lot of resolution, and you have growing numbers. Today we say we have 20 satellites, 40 satellites, 50 satellites. I mean, it's a dwarfing kind of capability as you compare to your immediate neighbor China or United States ultimately. So if we want to have more number of satellites and we want to encourage entrepreneurs, because he will make some money by launching 5 meter satellites, then slowly graduate it into launching further more potent satellites. But if you do not create that capability by holding hands, you do not need always a hammer to break an egg. You do need a spoon also. So what happens is, just because there is a best capability available, I think we need to create systems. So what I'm saying is, this is what I'm trying to impress with XDLINX, that you need to create that kind of capability. There is no denying that sovereignty is required in other handling of data, your own ground stations, your own ground station means your own. When it comes to my own ground station, then do I need to ground station in my own territory or in Australia or in America or other side of the globe? Which comes that if I need a ground station also in my own territory, then you need space communication, space data handling. You need some geosatellite hanging in the space, which is acting as a data center, orbital data centers are being talked about. So, etc., etc. This is how probably the sovereign capability is going to be created, and this is the endeavor at XDLINX. What exactly they are doing, it's a matter of Googling. I won't waste time to count the beams, that this satellite, that satellite. But the idea was to cover concept, the direction in which we are heading, and the role that I am providing. Thank you, sir.
Extremely well covered, thank you. In fact, I am also associated with XDLINX in an advisory capacity. So there's a great initiative. They are building about 6 buses to build really, make some 6 U2, some 400 kg plus of satellite. It's a very good initiative by them. And definitely very, very relevant points you have made in building the ecosystem. See, we can't compare ourselves with, 24 billion annual budget of NASA with less than 2 billion budget in India. But definitely we are addressing all areas. So now I think with these I will request my good friend, Dr. Gurvinder Chohan. And Gurvinder has, when he was with MDA, after he came out and started his own enterprise in Canada, he has widely traveled to almost all space agencies in the world. I doubt whether he has left any country or space agency which he has not visited, interacted, and tried to market most advanced things to them. So, but then I will not give so much of time to him. Gurvinder ji, you take about 6-7 minutes. Okay, yeah. About 6-7 minutes. Sorry for that.
Give me a signal. Just give me a signal, otherwise I will keep on going.
No. No. Okay, if you overshoot, I will give the other. Vinod will catch me.
Good afternoon. So I hope everybody is alive, listening properly. And I will start with Dr. Hegle's first comment that we all have 5 minutes and 35 total and 10 minutes reserved for you. But those 10 minutes, if you are not going to use, then we are going to ask questions from you. So make sure you listen to what we are saying. So I'm going to start with a simple definition of what is a sovereignty. What is sovereignty? What is a sovereign nation and what is a sovereign satellite? What do you mean? Our topic today is enabling sovereign satellites in global economy and in global affairs. So having been in the space industry for 2.5 decades, I have gone through many countries, as Dr. Hegle said, being part of many startup space agencies. I wrote up the charter for the Polish Space Agency, Turkish Space Agency. I basically set up them to build their own sovereign space agency. So I know a little bit of sovereign. I mean, you guys know more, but I know a little bit of how we can define it. In my opinion, if you want to say that I am a sovereign nation and I have a full sovereignty on my satellites, it's a misleading. You cannot have. For example, you are saying I have my satellite, I have a full value chain up to down, I do everything in-house. Very good. You have a launch vehicle, excellent. You have a ground infrastructure, yes. Now there are 2 types of satellites, what you are talking about here. One is remote sensing, other comes to communication. And both belongs to different orbits. One goes to LEO, one goes to GEO. Now let's talk about the LEO. You said I have a ground infrastructure, yes, fine. You are flying LEO, they go across the globe. You need a full global coverage, you need a ground station across the globe. You need TTNC, health monitoring. When your ground stations are out of your country, you are no longer in control of it. Then it's not a sovereign. Same thing for GEO. You have a GEO satellite, yes, you have a full coverage of your country, but you still have many gateways. If you want to have a gateways coverage and then you have your marine, your air force and all those people you want to cover, you need to have something out of your country. So again, you are not a 100% sovereign independent satellite controller. So there is always a bit of dependency on other countries. So that's the first step. Now the second point, why do we need, first of all, the sovereign satellites? I'm going to give you very simple examples. I'm not going to make it too complex or too technical. About 10 years ago, I was in someone's mission in Africa. So we had to make a few phone calls. We were amazed that we were charged about 3.6 euro per minute for a call. When we checked with the government, they said no, because we have to buy the capacity from foreign satellites and it has to go through this many agencies. So that's why. So then I floated a question, why don't you have your own satellite? Then we did a quick analysis and presented them my quick analysis, and I told them, look, in today's conversion, if you have a satellite which is going to cost you 200 million, which is going to last for 15 years, you are going to recover your cost in 6 years, and 9 years going to make a profit. Plus, you can sell the capacity to a neighboring country, and this satellite is under your control, and you have it. That changed their mindset. So this is a typical example, a simple example of economic value of a nation. Why do you need your own sovereign satellite? Secondly, recently, what happened in the previous years in Middle East and in the Eastern Europe and everywhere, what's happening? That's a wake-up call for everybody, every country. They're saying, today, I'm not safe because I don't control my assets. If you don't control your assets, that means you don't have a sovereignty. To protect your sovereignty, you need to have full assets and full control on your assets. And those assets need to be fully integrated to your ground assets, and ground asset has to be under your control. So these are the little things which we have to keep in mind when we talk about sovereignty, why we need it, what impact it has. Last year, there were 325 orbital launches done. And as of 2026, there are 80 nations who claim to have their own satellites, what you call sovereign satellites, what you can call, their own satellites. But out of those 80, I think Regulator has mentioned exactly right, there are only 3 which say, yes, I have full control. 3 or maybe 4. But rest of are again dependence, this and that. Now to set up a sovereign nation, sovereign satellite system or ecosystem, you have to have a full upstream and downstream systems in-house. Now to build a satellite, I simply give you an example. You have to build a satellite. To build a satellite, you need onboard system, power control system, navigation system, sun sensors, star trackers. At one point, you need to buy some electronic chips or component, which again you are buying from some other country. So again you are dependent. The country can cut off anytime, hey, I am not exporting you this particular chip. You are dead. So we are again talking about the sovereign satellites, yes, but we have to be careful. It's not so easy to have a sovereign satellite. You cannot have an independent, a standalone. You have to have a work in a whole ecosystem, in a global ecosystem. You can try to have as much as sovereignty and independent capabilities, yes. But to saying that, yes, I want to have A to Z, in today's context, it will not be possible. Because at some point you will have to have a dependency on other countries or other partners. Could be friendly or non-friendly. For example, building nowadays, there is a big problem with the rare earth elements, which are required for build the chips. And these are all used in the satellites. So again, these are all the things which we need to carefully consider when we start talking about the building a sovereign nation and sovereign satellites. Just having a satellite, having a top level of ground stations, that doesn't serve the purpose as a sovereign satellite, because you still have a dependency, hidden dependencies, what we can call. So I'm not going to promote my company, but I can tell you, you can just go to rsearchspace.com. What we do, you can look at there. I'm not going to take that time. That's it. Thank you.
Great, Gurvinder ji. Thank you so much. He has compressed his experience into a few minutes. Very nice. I mean, now, sorry for making you the last speaker, but I must tell to Vinod and everybody here, see, my father has 9 grandchildren. I come from a village, from thick of Western Ghats, where one single house makes a revenue village, okay, amidst forests. So I had gone a couple of years ago during Corona pandemic, and my brother's daughter works for Cognizant. She was a key accounts manager. She is from CA stream. I asked her, what are you doing? I am key accounts manager for a project in Canada. 1.5 years she didn't come out of home, comfortably handling with a BSNL dongle. So I must make it known to Vinod, the importance of Gilat network. Then I went to my father's another grandson's place. He was newly married. So Corona time, very wise people, his wife thought best thing is to go family way. I went to visit them to another village. Again, a single house village. Revenue village, a single house. So she was on the family base. She was sitting on the floor, laptop here. Said, what are you doing? I said, I'm in Windows 11 project. Okay. So that is the kind of enabling which the space ecosystem or telecom ecosystem has done in the country. And this will certainly make Vinod happy how important work you are doing for providing telecom network to nooks and corners of India. Now it's your turn, and you have full 6-7 minutes. Don't worry, you can.
Thank you, Dr. Hegde, for the time, and thank you, SI, for making this session an interesting one. I think Gurvinder spoke about why sovereignty is important and what does it mean. I'll not delve on it, but I think I'm from the communication side. I represent a company called Gilat Satellite Networks. We are ground segment system providers for communication satellites. And as Dr. Hegde said, that we connect for data and voice remote areas where terrestrial doesn't reach, and also satellites are now used for many other applications for data connectivity in banks, during disaster-prone areas. So primarily, if you see why sovereignty is required, why do nations think sovereignty is required? One of the reasons is that the national security and strategic importance. The governments globally want that whatever data is flows through the networks, which could be the terrestrial networks are on the ground, so they are controlled. They can be checked. While the satellite has a footprint which is global, which is much bigger. The control is a challenge. So they do want that the whatever goes through satellites is really controlled and is known what is happening. So, and if the satellites are not manufactured, this whole satellite is only not the satellite, as Gurvinder said, this whole ecosystem, which is the launching side, the payload, the various other elements which goes into satellite manufacturing. I'm specifically talking about communication satellites. So that all has to be in-house, in-country, and then you really control the whole sovereignty of this of the system. Now, when you say that is it, as Gurvinder said, is it like it's a need of the hour? Many global situations have happened where many countries are now thinking they should have a sovereign satellite ecosystem, while maybe 5 years or maybe even 5 years back it was not thought about, right, sir? It's just in last 5-7 years the sovereignty phenomena has touched, and one of the reasons is I think the Middle East war, which has really changed dynamics in this whole industry of this thought. The second is about SpaceX being coming in a LEO system and making it very more. Satellite was very 5 years back. It was 5-7 years back. It was not so prominent. SpaceX made it very visible to many people across the globe that satellites can be used for communication. While geo satellites have been available for communication since 1990s, but the effect which SpaceX created in the last 7 years has really woken up many governments across the globe to think about satellite has a lot of use, and the way it is being controlled by specific country, that has become a challenge to many countries from the security aspect. And so many countries are now thinking that, why should not we have our own set up own satellite ecosystem, and that's where nations are driving space programs in this direction. Now, is it necessary? Is it mandatory? You should have it. It has its own challenges, as the panel was discussing, that it has challenge of cost. It has challenge of you should have orbital slots. You should know also how to, if there's a debris, there's space debris creation, clearance, then replacement of these satellites, maintenance of these satellites is not something which is which in every country has today the capability, and they should go in this direction only. So I think is it necessary? I do believe that it is not necessary to have a sovereign capacity. As you see the Europe, if you see the European Union is creating an infra which is allied countries creating an infra which is meant for EU, and there are many countries part of it. I think that regional cooperation would be one of the driving factors how sovereignty can be defined, where regional cooperation of countries makes it happen that few countries together can create a satellite infra which has their common interest in it. That was one. And second thing, there's a hybrid model. There's a hybrid model which countries can adopt, where there are many advanced satellite communication companies, countries, where a lot of research has been done. So it should not be that we should start from ground zero. Any country should not start from ground zero. It should try to adopt, cooperate, and work in a hybrid model. Every country has a security challenge, and for security purposes, which is basically for defense, particularly for defense, where there are security challenges, the sovereignty can be considered from a different angle, where most of the ecosystem should be in-house, in-country. However, for other areas, which could be disasters, which could be communication, which could be enterprise side, there has to be a cooperative kind of a story, where the cooperation has to be done with either regional cooperation or other satellites can be used. But sovereignty is not a mandate. That's what I could say. Thank you, sir.
I think great. I think we should give a big hand to the distinguished panelists, because they have brought out such valuable points covering end to end in such a short time. Yeah, it's indeed important, because see, today the sovereign space activity of any country, it is much democratized. It is not that it's all by the government, for the government. That kind of concept, where we began till recent, and it's hardly 3-4 years ago that the reforms in Indian space sector made it open to the private companies, private entrepreneurs to come, and there are more than 400 startups and also, very big companies who are into other business have also invested, like TASL and all that, into the space ecosystem now. So the future looks extremely bright, because very soon, with the outlook of India itself, make in India or made in India, but for the world, that kind of thing is also going to happen, because we have that kind of manpower, that kind of zeal, so that sovereign space systems or space ecosystems for other countries as well. With respect to applications, with respect to imparting space education, India is quite open to other countries actually. They come to our specialized institutes and send their students, they get trained and all that. Very soon, I am sure, the hardware from India will also go abroad to other countries to make space ecosystem for them. And we should, one thing which is probably lacking is we are not thick into the global supply chain of space systems, which my friend Gurvinder is studying hard to pull us into becoming the part of the supply chain globally. And I think with these few words, random, I'm not trying to be systematic. So thanks once again to all the distinguished panelists, and thank you all for your patient listening and interacting. Now with this, we have time for at least very small remarks or very small questions. But one minute each, not more than that. 5 questions, yeah, okay.
Hello, very nice discussion. I am Mr. Jigish Patel, ex-ISRO Group Director. I have two parallel questions. It is one of this, at the one place we are asking and we discussing in various forums to improve our quality so we can stop the foreign supply. Secondly, while that is a question and that is a big task, we have to develop our quality better and all. But parallelly, when the Indian company puts their good quality product in the market, the vendor will always tell that even with the less price, we are getting the good product from foreign. So this is two difficulty I am also experiences while I am going for the market. This is my question, how to solve it?
I think I suggest only offline discussion with the concerned. They would be around. The next question, please.
Sir, this particular topic pertains to open our mind towards one important aspect. When we look at sovereignty, at the most important aspect of the satellite navigation, PNT, communications, economics, everything, our predecessors had gone in for NAVIC, which was a path-breaking, resource, which is a must for every possible functional utility of the satellite systems. In the past couple of months or years, we are falling apart as far as NAVIC is concerned. This humble respect to the panel here, as to we must push our NAVIC, our basic, most important aspect, to a level where we can really call ourselves to be proud of our own particular aspects. And along with it, something which we achieved about 5 years back with 11 satellites, though it is falling apart now, we must go in for at least 26 satellites and make this entire ecosystem with our own NAVIC system to such a level that we are really proud of and we can commit to the entire motion which we look forward. Thank you.
I think it's very contemporary and valuable remark. Navigation system, I am told, getting clock on time is getting clock on time is the issue. I think the next satellite which is going to go up next month, I am told it's one of those NAVIC constellations only. And you are aware that some 30-35 satellites have been given away to industry now. Out of 52, they were through, required for strategic users. I think efforts are on, but yes, there is a little time delay, but it is not, I am not answering for ISRO or NSIL or anything. This is general observation. So I think first question we will little involved, the cost versus component versus buying from abroad versus whatever. I mean, there is no one-line answer for that. So if there is no other question.
There's one.
One question. Okay,
Yeah.
Last question, please. Yeah.
Okay. So good evening, gentlemen. Thank you for the panel. So my question is that, you're talking of sovereign satellites, right? So don't you think that there's a need of standardization of how the satellites are getting built? You have a NAVIC series also, and various satellites being launched, because the concerned thing is you have orbit and space maintenance and all. So is anything being done on the standardization of various satellites being launched from various industry partners? Thank you.
No. There is no, yeah.
I think the InSpace is already working on to it, and various standards are being evolved. At what kind of standards are to be incorporated at the manufacturing stage and to the operation stage. So the process is on.
Yeah, she's waiting. Yeah. Close. Yeah, please. No. Done. You can.
Thank you very much to our chair and esteemed panelists for an insightful discussion on sovereign satellite capabilities and strategic autonomy. May I now request all the panelists and chair to kindly come forward for a group photograph. kindly come forward for a group photograph. Please put a huge round of applause for our esteemed panelists and chair, ladies and gentlemen. It's our absolute honor to have you with us today.